Hey, what's up guys, MashShiny here, come back with a brand new video for you guys. Today we're going to be talking about why I believe we could be at the bottom of the CSGO market. There's a lot of factors that are pointing to this might be the bottom we're going to see for the near future and what that really means for investing. But before we hop on into it, if you guys are not already subscribed, it definitely helps me out. Otherwise, let's hop on into it. First up here, we got to talk about the player counts. Now, player counts are really important to see how active the game is looking, but it's not everything. We see a lot of player counts that are inaccurate, such as the big drop-offs we've seen because Valve has done things like banning bots and such. But right now we're starting to see the player count really level out around that 500,000 mark. We've seen in the past 30 days we've only went down less than 1%, which is pretty significant because the past 3 months, in July we went down about 8%, June 16%, and May almost 9%. That's a large majority of the player base that is going to leave has already gone, and it seems like that's roughly where we're going to level out. What this means in my eyes is we're going to see a lot of items start to level out, and that's the price they're going to keep. One of them is the red line. The red line's a great example. It's one of the most liquid skins in the game, and it's been sitting roughly around that $16.50 range, which is down a bit from that $20-ish, $21-ish we were seeing during Operation Broken Fang. The nice thing about this though is we have not been seeing a decrease for the past week. It's been roughly pretty stable. I mean, there's obviously a little influx here and there as the night and day cycles go by, but we're really starting to see a lot of this leveling out all across the board for skins that were over popular and at their all-time highs. Another great example is looking at one of CSGO's most liquid cases right now, and that's the clutch case. The clutch case has been out long enough where the price has stabilized, but it's also in the prime pool, meaning that there has to be a lot of people interested in buying this for it to sustain its price it's been at. And right now we've been sitting around that 25-23 cent range for about a month at least. And that makes me very confident that we're starting to see what's pretty much going to be the lowest prices you can buy in for some of these items that are very commonly traded. This was actually really surprising to me because I thought for sure the clutch case would be seeing at least some sort of drop off, and other than that big peak it saw when we saw all the people looking to invest into it in June, otherwise we really haven't seen too much. We saw the slight fall off because of that hype where it was just overpriced. I mean, no one's looking to pay 35 cents for this case, and that's especially since it was just around that 20-cent mark before that. But overall for the clutch case, I'm really excited to see that we have reached an equal point where we're not seeing the price consistently moving. Now there's some other examples where it seems like that bottom out might have been slightly missed. One of them is the glove case. Now the glove case became one of the most popular investments in that investment run we saw in June. We saw a lot of people really interested to buy in because it's got those first generation gloves along with the same gloves that are in the Hydra case, which the Hydra case is extremely expensive. It was just a really good looking case at the time. The coverts are the only thing that's slightly lacking, but that's not the biggest deal. Right now it seems that price has really stabilized around that $1.90 range. What we saw a couple weeks ago was the price really dipped down pretty hard. It went from about that $1.90 range, it dipped down to around that $1.60 range, and that was very short-lived, and it's really been stable at $1.90 for the past couple weeks here. It looks like this case is starting to stabilize around that $1.90 range. Now you are able to get this one with a buy order for a bit cheaper, which is one of the nicer things about a bit of the more expensive cases. But looking at the graph here, you can see that it's really easy to see where this price was going. It was going down pretty quickly from that June moment where it just hadn't seen any sustainability. It just kept going down in price until it hit that bottom in about mid-July, and then it started to just rebound and keep a stable price around that 190 range. It looks like at this point the price is not going to go any lower, and this is actually really reasonable. It was following the same path as the clutch case, except the clutch case had a constant influx of new cases into the game. The glove case was a little bit different because all the cases in the game were pretty much already there. It's not like a significant amount of these were dropped through the rare drop pool or anything like that. So we had to see the price bottom out just to make sure that's exactly where it was going to go. This case could easily keep on going down, but we saw the price bottom out, and it seems like right now we're sitting pretty stabilized. Another good case to look out here is the breakout case. Now, the breakout case has been one of the most ambitious growers so far we've seen in 2021, starting off the year at roughly $1, and we're sitting almost at that $3 mark again. This one saw an overpeak, but it actually wasn't that significant of an overpeak compared to some of the other cases. It went from roughly around 236 all the way up to about 330 maximum, and then it fell back down to that 230-ish mark. So it really wasn't a huge peak considering some of these other cases saw double the value. But we're starting to see the growth continue once again. This one saw its dip a little bit lower. As we talked about with the glove case, we saw it about mid-July. This one came in the first week of July, which is really interesting to see, and now it's just constantly been going back up again. It's been really interesting to see where this dip is going to come. We saw some of them in early July, some of them like the glove case in mid-July, and it seems like some of them really haven't seen too much of a dip, rather just a level out, and that's the prime cases. The prime cases that obviously some of them like the snakebite case are going to keep on decreasing, but it seems like some of the prime cases have really leveled out at this point, and if you're looking to get in on some of those cases, it seems like right now might not be the worst idea. Seems like some cases though have really started to be pushing on their lower limits. One of those is the CS20 case. Now the CS20 case is a really hard case because it's not that the case was necessarily overdropped, but it was over invested into. We saw a lot of people buy into this for that long-term potential, and it still has a lot of long-term potential, but people become very impatient when they're investing into CSGO. Right now we're in a player low, as we saw with the graphs earlier, so we're not expecting prices to be pushing very high boundaries, but a lot of people are just ready to be done with it. For the CS20 case, it seems like it's starting to stabilize around that 18-cent mark, but it also seemed like that around that 19-cent mark, and it seems like with the buy orders we have left, it's probably going to push into that 17-cent mark. I'm not too concerned about the long-term effects of this. There's going to be some day that the case is going to be worth more than 20 cents, but I feel like that day is quite a ways away. Not many people are really opening up this case right now, and a lot of people are holding onto this case for the long term. There's just way too many of these cases out there for us to see any growth very soon. And with it containing the classic knife, which at this point hasn't been worth as much as some other knives, it really doesn't make too much sense to open up this case from a consumer standpoint. So we're not really seeing too many of these opened, and we're not seeing too many of these really sold to just be kept around for a short time period. The last case I want to talk about then is the Operation Broken Fang cases, because it's really interesting what we're seeing so far. Now with all the other cases, we've started to see a level out. The Operation Broken Fang case I've been keeping a close eye on recently, and it's really interesting what we're seeing. Not only is it starting to level out a little bit, but it seems like it's leveling out for short time periods and then falling off again. We saw it level out roughly around that 57-cent mark, and then it's starting to fall off again. Now we saw this a little bit earlier with that 67-cent mark, where it was there for about a month and then it fell off again. It seems like right now very few people are opening up this case, which makes sense because we have the snake bite out there, but I could definitely see something with this case for the future. There's just way too many of these cases out there at this point, and there's not enough demand for them. Overall though, I definitely feel like we're starting to push one of the bigger market lows. I think that right now we could potentially be pushing some of the lowest prices we're going to see for the near future. A lot of big things are coming for the future, and right now could potentially be a perfect time to get in on it. But as always guys, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.